Well, everybody, welcome back to the Trig Podcast with Joey and Goso TV on this beautiful morning. It is August 16th. Man, 3 days away from my baby's and I's 26-year anniversary. Shout out to my lovely Rochelle. She is with her mom, who's not well, so be praying, please, for our dear Lynette and also Dennis, her husband, as they both are dealing with some health issues. But God is with us, and He will never let us fall. How are you, my dear family? Goso Nation, Goso family. I'm doing well. So excited to be here with you, back with my Goso hat, my Goso Nation, and of course, we have the Goso Mariachis. And also we have the Goso Gallo right there. So it's time for everybody. Hello, Armando, my dear brother. Good morning. So yes, it's time for everybody to wake up. There's a Goso Gallo again, in case you missed it. Talking today about we will not be shaken. How it is just a wonderful time to really describe what God is doing in our lives. Once again, my Goso Mariachi. That's why I got my Goso hat, my Goso Gorro, here on this lovely morning. Thankful to be here with you on this beautiful morning here on 5 platforms. We're on Instagram Live. Welcome to Goso TV on Instagram, which is an awesome platform. We're also, of course, on YouTube. Follow me there on Facebook and on Twitch. I love my Twitch community, and then also on Twitter and Periscope. So thank you for being here wherever you're watching me. Talking about how we will not be shaken. I'm learning a lot about being someone who is not afraid to talk about the ups and downs of the process. One of the things I admire, I'm watching actually this show here. You can't see it probably, but this is a show that I watch. I think they post it every week, and it's called Producer Grind. And these are musicians just like myself, and most of them are in their 20s and 30s. A lot of young kids, even younger. And they're talking about working with Kanye West, talking about working with J. Cole and some of these amazing artists, and they're young producers working with them. And even though they're big time, you could say, these young producers, because, I mean, Kanye, of course, and J. Cole and Travis are huge. My Goso head is getting in the way a little bit. They're not afraid to say how they're still living at home with their mom. Remember those days? And I think that we as adults, when things happen in life, when you go through ups and downs in just marriage, or maybe you gain some weight like I have, or maybe there's some great thing, or just basic things like right now my car, needs an oil change, just things that I have to do. We sometimes, I think, are afraid to talk about how we're living with our mom. Those difficult or just normal moments that everyone can relate to. Here I am as a grown man with 3 kids that are probably the age of this young man. Here's the show again, Producer Grind. And they're talking about normal, real things. And I'm thinking, I really need to document the journey. And so I want to just be an example to you of stop only posting or talking about praise the Lord and God is great. Of course He is. But what is the most, I think, enticing or inviting part of being a human being is of working through your journey with others, especially obviously with these platforms, right? I'm not one to be on social media. I don't read people's comments. I don't know what's going on out there because it's really just a waste of time. But I do like to be here to bring you what I'm doing so that you can be inspired. So, for example, last night I was out here in our backyard and I was here alone because, as I said, my beautiful wife and 3 kids are in Oregon with my mother-in-law who's not well. And I just began to read a bunch of comments about this one video that I posted, all good stuff. And then my dog came out and it was just nice to be there with Daisy. It was like 11:30 p.m. And then I went and got some food because I was hungry. I hadn't eaten all day. And then I came home and I just sat on my chair there in the back. And my grass is just grown. It's just been it's been like maybe 4 days. It hasn't even been that long. And usually I would say, well, I'm going to wait till Thursday when the guy comes, right? The lawnmower guy comes. Instead, I made a decision this morning. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to go mow my lawn. You think, who cares? The point is, that's something that I want to commit to doing and not wasting my time waiting for the next person or for someone else to do that. Another thing that I did is my car, as I mentioned, has this thing underneath it. It has, the front bumper, and I don't know if, because the car is lowered, I think it hit something or it grinded against the road, and it sort of just fell off. Not completely. And so it's been dragging there for 2 weeks because it's not quite bad enough and blah, blah, blah. I thought, this is crazy, man. Here I am, a grown man, and I need to just take care of this. And I've tried, but the car is too low and I can't get quite underneath there. Well, I called my friend yesterday and I'm going to take my car in. As I mentioned, my father-in-law and my mother-in-law are also dealing with a lot of stuff. And so I just simply, this morning, I'm going to go to the hospital to pick up my father-in-law and just go help him. He had a major cancer surgery on his leg. He had a tumor. By the grace of God, things are going well. He's almost ready to come home. And he's going to be here with me for the next few days. Just two dudes. We're probably not going to eat much. But I'm going to go and do that. Now, why do I tell you that? Because normally it would be easy for me, maybe you're the same way, when you go through life and illness or your car's broken or your grass, your lawn is too big, to kind of give in or to be overwhelmed by that. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody? There's my ghost bell right there. And here's my church bells. No, that's my whistle. There you go. It's easy to give in to those things, right? To kind of take the easy way out, to sit around or to, quote, go to work or whatever, just to waste time. Especially, as I said, on social media, which, as I mentioned, I don't do, which has been great. But instead, I just take care of business. I also have this phone call that I have to make because the IRS, you know how all that money came out 6 months ago? And because we have a family of 5, it's about $10,000 that the government wants to give us, like everyone. But because of X, Y, and Z, we haven't received the money. And so I called them, 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, and we got half of it. Bottom line, there are some things that you and I need to just get done. There's this video that I want to show you by Jordan Peterson. And I'm not a fan of his politics. He is, a little too far right for me. I'm not far right or right at all. I'm more moderate. But there is this one video, and he talks about the 12 rules of discipline or something like that, that has gone viral in the last 2 years because it helps young people especially, and I think it's for males because it really connects with me in many ways, to basically stop being so lazy. And I'm not a lazy person whatsoever, but I know I have those moments, and maybe you can relate to this, where I either want to hide or I don't know what to do, which is normal, or I maybe I wait till the last minute. I don't know. There are just things that I know I need to grow in. So I want to show you this video that I'm looking for here. Let me see if I can find it. Let me show you on my screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. So Jordan Peterson, how to create the life you want. Let's just listen to this one. I don't know if this is it, but let's just try this one and let me see if hopefully you can hear it. So let me just do things here and then we should be fine. Let me see here. I think this should work. Okay, let's see.
There's this old idea that you go into the abyss. It's an idea that you can gaze into the abyss. You gaze long, and what you find in the abyss is a monster. That's the dragon at the bottom of the abyss, let's say. That's Satan himself, for that matter. But if you go into that as deeply as you can, what you find is you find your fragmented father in a comatose condition, in a desiccated and separated condition. And then you revivify that. Well, what does that mean? It means something. It means that if you look in the darkness, you find the light. That's one thing it means. And that the light really stands out against the darkness, but that the light is to be found in the darkness. So that's a very interesting thing. That's a quest narrative. But it means more than that. It means something fundamental. So we know, for example, that if you take yourself out of your current state of predictability and safety, and you put yourself in a new situation, you'll learn, right? You'll incorporate new information. So that's a cognitive issue. But that isn't all that happens. What happens is that new genes turn on within you and code for the production of new proteins. And that happens neurologically. New parts of you turn on. And so the idea is that if you can move yourself out into the world and push yourself out against a maximum array of challenges, more and more of you turns on. And then the question would be, well, what would you be if all of you that could be turned on was turned on? And the answer would be, you would be the resurrection of the ancestral father. That's what you would be. And so that's why Christ says, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. What that means is that if you take on the unbearable burden of being voluntarily, then that transforms you into the ancestral father. And that's true. And so that's unbelievably optimistic. It's so interesting because it's dark beyond belief. Well, the world is characterized by suffering and by malevolence of a depth that's virtually beyond comprehension. But if you choose to comprehend that, what you discover in that is the light that destroys the darkness. And that's really something to discover. There isn't a discovery that's more profound than that. That's the search for the Holy Grail or the Philosopher's Stone, all of that.
If you actually want something, you can have it. Now the question then would be, well, what do you mean by actually want? And the answer is that you reorient your life in every possible way to make the probability that that will occur as certain as possible. And that's a sacrificial idea, right? It's like, you don't get everything. Obviously. But maybe you can have what you need. And maybe all you have to do to get it is ask. But the asking isn't a whim or today's wish. It's like, you have to be deadly serious about it. You have to think, okay, like I'm taking stock of myself. And if I was going to live properly in the world and I was going to set myself up such that being would justify itself in my estimation, and I don't mean as a harsh judge, exactly what is it that I would aim at? You could try this. This is a form of prayer, knocking. Sit on your bed one day and ask yourself, what remarkably stupid things am I doing on a regular basis to absolutely screw up my life? And if you actually ask that question, but you have to want to know the answer, right? Because that's actually what asking the question means. It doesn't mean just mouthing the words. It means you have to decide that you want to know. You'll figure that's out so fast it'll make your hair curl. You're perfectly capable of thinking. God only knows how. You're perfectly capable of immense feats of imagination and dream and fantasy. It's God only knows how you do all of that. What would happen if you consulted yourself about the best possible outcome for you? You might get an answer.
In order for us to set things right, we have to understand that we have to take on that burden of ultimate responsibility. Not only as if it's ours, which it is, but as if there isn't anything better that we could do. And you have an ethical obligation to lift the heaviest load you can possibly conceive of. And that's the primary call to adventure in life. You need a meaning in your life to forestall the suffering and to make you strong enough to resist malevolence. Where's the meaning to be found? Rights, impulsive pleasure, and happiness? No. Responsibility? Oh, who would have guessed that? It's not part of the narrative. What makes life worth living is to pick up, take its catastrophe and embrace it and carry it, and to realize through that process who you are. When I talk to audiences about the relationship between responsibility and meaning, they inevitably go dead silent. There's not a rustle, there's not a cough. It's like, is that the secret? Is that the secret? Is that it's the voluntary adoption of responsibility? It's like, well, that's the central message of the West. It's like to pick up your cross and bear it, you know, and everyone's been told that, but they don't know what it means because it's not been articulated enough so that it becomes something that's practical. It's like, yes, look at the terrible responsibilities you have right in front of you. Your family is hurting. You're in trouble. There's problems in the world. It's like all of that's right there. And all you have to do is take responsibility for it. And then you've got what you need. It's something so magnificent that happiness pales in comparison. And so it's thin gruel happiness. And young people know that. They're pursuing hedonistic pleasure. And no wonder. But there's nothing in it that's sustaining. And all it does is make you cynical. It's like, that's all there is? Another one-night stand? Another binge party? And it's not like I have anything in principle, against some of that exuberant, youthful hedonism. Look, the universities have turned into places of parties. Why? Well, because that's what the students find best to do there. Well, that's not good. What you want to offer them is a reason to not party. It's like, no, you got to understand. You come to this class hungover. You're not going to be able to get it. You're not going to be able to write properly. You're going to pay a price for that hedonism. It's like, and the price will be too high for you to bear. It's like, oh, well, enough hedonism for me then. Like, I've got something important to do. That's the way out of that. Before you can be a painter who can paint what's beyond mere memory, you have to inculcate that discipline, skill, and a lot of that is painful repetition and hard grinding work. It's the sacrifice of the present for the future. But once you manage that, then things open up. That's why we have disciplines, right? I mean, the words aren't there by accident. You have to narrow yourself first, and then you can broaden outward. And so that's part of the process of maturation. That's part of the sacrifice of childhood. Say, in childhood you're nothing but potential, but it's not realized and you don't know how to realize it. And so then the question is, well, how do you get to a point where you realize the potential? And the answer is, you sacrifice almost all of it to a single direction. And so that's the thing about growing up, is that when you're a teenager and a young adult, you have to sacrifice everything you could have been as a child to be the one thing that you're aiming at. But then that opens up.
Everyone in their right mind knows that there's a million ways of doing things wrong, and one way, if you're lucky, to do things right. And so the notion that it's a very, very narrow pathway that you tread upon if you're doing things right, that's wisdom. That's the line between chaos and order that you're supposed to be on constantly, right? It's a very, very thin line, because if you're a little bit too far in one direction, then it's too much chaos, and if you're a little too far in the other direction, then it's too much order. And both of those aren't good. The balance has to be exactly right. And you can feel that, and I truly believe you can feel that, and I think it's your deepest instinct. It's your deepest instinct, and I mean that biologically. I don't mean that metaphorically. I think that your psyche is arranged to exist in a cosmos that's composed of chaos and order. I think that's why you have the hemispheric structure that you have. And then when you feel as if you're meaningfully engaged in the world, when the terror of your mortality strips away and you're engaged and it's timeless, that's the deepest instinct you have telling you that you're in the right place at the right time. And then what you do is practice being there. Practice being there. And that's that narrow spot that's so difficult to find. You wander around it. Maybe if you're lucky, you can watch. This is an experiment. Watch yourself for 2 weeks. Like you don't know who you are, because you don't. So watch yourself for 2 weeks and notice there's going to be times when things are proper. They're arrayed properly for you. It's not easy to notice, because when they're arrayed like that, you're so engaged, you don't exactly notice, But you'll see, oh, I'm in the right place. It's like, okay, how'd I get here? What am I doing right? How is it that this could happen more often? I'd like this to happen more often. How would I have to conduct myself in order for that to happen more often? And then you practice that, and then maybe instead of 10 minutes a month or 10 minutes a week, it's like 15 minutes a day, and then it's half an hour a day, and then it's an hour a day, and then it's 4 hours a day. And maybe if you're extraordinarily careful, then you get to a point where you're like that a good proportion of the time.
Yes, so pretty amazing stuff. I mean, I'm telling you, you can't help all that awesome music as well. Just get moved by it all, because it's true. And I really do believe that responsibility and following, as he says, kind of that instinct inside of us. I have an instinct, of course. We all do. I have an instinct to do what I love to do. And for me, it's super easy. It's, of course, it's the church. And then I would say within that, or as a result of that, is to do music, is to create beats and to produce. It's also to help young leaders to grow and emerge as communicators, as professional worship leaders, professional pastors and leaders, as well as communicators, as I said, sermon, just people that know how to craft a sermon. And then I would say maybe at the top of the list is the idea or the topic of emotional healing, biblical deliverance, of being able to stand on your own two feet and talk about these very topics of fearlessness and courage and instinct, and getting rid of those things, like he says, that the binge parties and all those things that I know I don't have those issues, but I know there are things in my life I'm thinking I need to get rid of that stuff, and then to take action on the very things that I do want to do, and that goes to responsibility and to discipline and these things that, yes, they're not very fun to hear. I know for me as an artist and a creative, I think for most of us, it sounds too simple, or maybe it sounds too boring or too restrictive. But the times that I've been the happiest have been the times when I have been the most responsible, or maybe discipline is a better word. For example, when I was in the best shape of my life in my early 40s. Yes, in my early 40s. When most people are sort of checking out and just giving in to just eating and sleeping or whatever it is, or working, I was in the best shape of my life because of routine and discipline and responsibility. The same thing with my master's degrees and with obviously our marriage and being committed to my beautiful wife and all that goes into that, as well as raising these three amazing teens. All those things, communicating, being here online, learning these tools, all those things that I am proud of and thankful for, it took discipline, responsibility. But I would say the last, a few years, a lot of things have piled in, and which kind of have distracted me to move away from the routine, or maybe it's just so much of the trauma that I've endured in different areas that I think that my mind has gone to damage control and to trying to fix so many problems that my own joy, my own, like he says, my resurrection, that which comes after the death of Jesus and of us, I think I haven't been able to focus on that. And so now, as this school year begins and as this summer ends and as we go into the fall, there are a few things that I am coming back to, like the song says, coming back to the heart of worship. And I'm excited about it, such as fitness and just playing basketball. I was playing basketball last night here in my driveway. We have a nice little gym here in my garage and in the driveway. And so I was just doing some speedball action with we have a heavy bag and a speedball and some weights, and then just shooting some hoops. And then, as I said, mowing the lawn here. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to mow the lawn and just go take care of business and go do the things that I need to do. And tonight I'm going to be recording with these young artists that I'm working with, that I'm producing their beats and their Christian hip hop songs that are amazing, that are touching people's lives. Or I could just worry and think about all the things that I wish I had or wish I was doing, or the things I'm not. And that's just a waste of time. For example, like this morning, I woke up worrying about a computer that is not working really well. And it's where I make all my beats. And I thought, man, if that computer dies, I don't have $2-3 to buy a new one. And I just began to worry and feel sorry for myself and thinking, what am I going to do without that computer? And I'm going to not be able to do all the things I'm doing with music and blah, blah, blah. And then I caught myself. I thought, what are you doing? You have 3 other computers. Not only the one that I'm using right now, but I have another one that is in the other room, and I have a laptop that are all amazing. And in fact, they're probably better than the computer that I'm worried about, that is kind of dying. And then on top of that, I thought, well, I can maybe do some work on a couple things that I'm doing, and maybe I can save, and in 3 months I can buy my dream computer. That is not that one. That's actually this other one that came out a few months ago that I've been wanting anyway. And I thought maybe this is a great time for me to do what I want to do and be responsible and save up and do some of these side things that I'm doing and buy that computer that I need to be who I am and to produce and to follow my dreams. And that small shift in just thinking was just so powerful. Like he said, it just gave me such confidence. It's like, inside of your heart that is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go mow my lawn. I'm supposed to go and be with my father-in-law today and help him through all that he's dealing with. I'm supposed to support, obviously, my wife and our 3 kids that are in Oregon with our ailing mom. I'm supposed to fix this computer or fix my car or do this stream or just simply document what's next so that you're inspired, so that you have somewhere here in Goso TV that you can come to and say, I want to be inspired. Whether it's by me playing a video like the one I showed, or whether it's just something I say, or whether it's you just simply hearing from God and putting it all together and you think, man, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. How am I being responsible today? And here's the truth. All of us feel like we are already being overly responsible. There are already so many things that you have to do. But I'm telling you, there's always those things that you need to do that are the most important. The things that bring you joy, the things that move your career or your life or your ministry or your marriage or your body down, like they say, downfield. Speaking of things that I just love to do because our kids are gone and they're, with Rochelle visiting their mom, my mother-in-law. We have a bunny upstairs. And so I love our bunny. Her name is Rosie, and she's been through a lot. She had a couple of little scares there, and we had to take her to the vet, and she's fine. But our girl, well, both of them, they love, obviously, their bunny, and they have this routine. So they left me this email or this text with the instructions to take care of the bunny, including 2 handfuls of hay and, of course, clean water for her in the mornings. And then in the evening, I forget what it says. Let me read it. I know it includes a treat, which is what I can't wait for that part for her. Oh yeah, a half scoop of pellets in purple bowl, which I think I saw up there, and that's her food. So she eats hay in the morning and then pellets in the evening, and then a treat from the red bag in purple bowl. Isn't that the cutest thing? And so this morning I went up there, and man, I should show you a picture of her. I think I have it here somewhere. Yeah, let me show you some pictures of my beautiful bunny. I just love our bunny. So let's see here. Let me go to the pictures. Let's see, I think I have it here. And here is a picture of our bunny. Isn't she the cutest? And then I have another one here that maybe is even more fun. Look at that one. No, you can't see that one as well. Let me show you this one. Now, this is our beautiful dog. Speaking of that, last night I was with Daisy and just hanging out with her. I'm going to probably give her a walk today. I'm not trying to be a superhero, so it's not about doing everything. It's just about you doing those things that really bring you the most joy. This is a picture of my beautiful wife at the school that she was a principal of. Just, you can't see that, it's too small. But my point is that there are these, well, okay, here's another picture of the bunny. This is big. Isn't she adorable? Her name is Rosie. So I went this morning upstairs to our girls' room, and I just fed Rosie. I just gave her food. And you think, whoa, big deal. It's just doing those things that bring me joy. Being responsible. I could just say, I have so much to do, and I'm worried about my computer and my car and my lawn and my father-in-law and the bunny, whatever. No, this is something that's so meaningful for our kids. Something that is extremely important to them. Very important to them. It means the world to them, and it means the world to me. And I don't want to just simply miss it and just forget about it. I want to be responsible. I want to be present. I want to care for the things that I care for. And I think that's what gives us life, isn't it? It's what brings us joy. These are the ways that we will not be shaken. These are the ways that we can be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. And so whatever it is that you need to do this day to be a gozo, part of the gozo nation, right? Gozo means joy in Spanish. What do you have to do today to be responsible, to do the right thing, to document it, to tell others about it? Because as we share our process, our ups and downs, our normal life, feeding the bunny, mowing the lawn, going to pick up my father-in-law, others are inspired, and they can also do the same thing and be motivated to live a life of joy, live a life of gozo, and to not just simply do the normal things or just stick to the basics, or you have your routine. I love my routines as well, but I think it's important to step outside of your routine and to do the things that you truly love and serve others and do things that are truly your calling and your pursuits, your calling, your anointing, your joy. And then to take care of things that will enable that. Fix my computer, mow my lawn, feed the bunny. And so I'm excited for that, and I want to just bless you and encourage you to do that. Thank you again to Armando, my dear friend who was here, and to anyone else who may be watching this now or after the fact. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you next time. Adios.